Welcome to this week's video. This week I'm going to be doing normal catch up with books, plus introducing you to something a bit new. I've started what I'm calling the bird book, and I'll get into it in a little bit more detail. Just as things progress. I think if we work through the pile, the stack, then that feels kind of most logical to me this week. For anybody watching one of my videos for the first time, my planner system is planning in a hobonichi weeks, and then I have daily entries and commonplacing in a hobonichi hon in the A5 size, and that's kind of how that looks. So yeah, I'll make a start with the weeks to start with. I feel like I'm a little bit sluggish this morning. I've not spoken yet properly, so bear with me. So if you're a regular viewer, you might notice that I've gone back to like the sort of raw cover of the weeks. I, until a couple of days ago, had a black piece of paper over this, and then my cover from Hobonichi from, when was it? 2013, I think. It's like the Something in the Night Sky. I can't quite remember what it's called. It's this cover. However, on Saturday, I had bought a meal deal and taken that to work, and there was some fizzy pop in it, and I didn't quite put the lid on properly because I was in a rush, and then the fizzy pop spilled over everything, and we were going from my workplace to a campsite, and it was halfway there that I realised what had happened, so I couldn't clean up properly, like in the same way as if I was at home. So I did what I could with like a packet of tissues, took off the paper, took off the cover, cleaned things down as best I could. Some of the fizzy drink was like sitting on top of the pages here, but except for like a little bit of kind of browning here, the pages themselves haven't been too badly damaged. And you might be able to see, I don't know because of the light, I have like a stain now that kind of goes like this in a sort of triangle shape. A lot of the time, because of the texture of the cover, you can't really see it. I just really hope that it hasn't like soaked into the fabric and then will get gross with time. I will have to figure something out if that happens. I think if we were to get like halfway through the year and I'm suddenly then needing to buy a new weeks, it's not really an expense I can justify, so I think I'd probably have to find some sort of cheaper alternative. Hopefully that is not something that has to happen. But yeah, so from that day I've gone back to the normal cover, and that kind of means I've reattached the Leuchtturm pen loop that I had before because of not using the clear cover. I've given the clean cover a good wipe down, but I'm not 100% confident that it's totally clean. I was even considering putting it through the washing machine on a cold wash. If anyone has prior knowledge and knows like absolutely not to do that, let me know. It feels like a dance with danger, a little bit there, but the idea passed through my head. I just don't feel confident putting it back on for the time being. But yeah, so there's like a little bit of damage to some pages. It's not my favourite thing, but I think it could have been a lot worse. So yeah, if we just do a little catch up in here, not masses has changed. I think I showed you this sort of calendar spread last week. That's all looking pretty similar. I'll show you how last week finished up. So I put in a couple of these stickers here from Bronte, and I added another one from the same sheet here, just the lily pads just sort of tied in together nicely. My list grew a fair bit. I put down a bit of green washi at the end of that list, and then I put down my May mood board as well. So I'd done this for April as well a few weeks ago, and I quite like having it in here. And then this is this week so far, looking really quite plain. It tends to for most of the week, and then when it gets to the weekend, that's when I'll maybe add something in here or here, and maybe some sort of decoration down here too. Because I got a few things on next week, I did also set next week out a little bit. So we've got a couple of Megan Rhiannon stickers here. I use these for my work days. One of the main things that led me to laying out this particular week is I've got a few medical appointments, and there's a specific letter I need to take to one of them. And I received it a little while ago, so I keep remembering and then forgetting that I will need to take it with me. So I've just drawn in a box here to say don't forget it, and we've got another Megan sticker here for that. And then just to kind of, I suppose, break the page up before I get to my regular list, I've added this sticker in here, and this is a Paper Shy sticker from a couple of years ago. And then we've got my normal list of things that I like to do once a day. And I don't think I've got any additional notes. I suppose in terms of changes, I've just got like a little bit of change at the back here. So when I first took the Leuchtturm pen leaf out, I accidentally ripped some of the paper here. I decided to use one of my own stickers to cover up most of that damage, so I've used my Lotus sticker here for that. And I think the colours work quite nicely with the cover here. We've got the sort of blue and green tones, which is nice. I've reattached the pen loop. Some of the original adhesive was still all right, but I've just used some double-sided sticky tape just to help enforce that. Got some stamps which I like to keep in here, and also my Stalogy dot stickers. These were kind of like getting annoying, and like they would kind of fly out everywhere when I tried to grab one. But I had these little envelopes for my shop, so I just decided to like cut the sheets down, and now they sit in there and everything's a lot more tidy, so that's good. And then to have a quick look at the A5, I think I've changed a little bit of my decoration in here. So I had a couple of stickers on the back of my e-reader, my Kobo. I decided to design something on Procreate to go on the back of there instead. I will do my best to remember. I'll get like a little shot of that for anyone interested. Actually, is my Kobo up here? I think it is. One sec. So a bit of a segue, but I'll just show you this quickly. So my Kobo, I decided to, it's not the neatest, it needs to be a little bit wider, but it was kind of like a first run, so to speak. So I just sort of designed this on Procreate, cut out a hole here for the power button, and then I added a couple of star stickers just to give it a bit more depth and a bit of sparkle. But before I'd just used some, like I folded some washi on itself, so it was kind of like double-sided sticky tape and had like a sort of collage of stickers. But when I decided to move to this, I just moved some of the stickers into here just to keep them aside for the time being. And I did a queer craft market this time last week, and I did some sticker swaps with some of the other people here, the other people there, and someone gave me this. The design's not necessarily like the kind of subject matter I go for, but I do really like the sort of holographic. It's very stimmy. So yeah, that's been added in as well. Just having a flip through. I went on a camping trip this weekend just gone, and I used my Instax to take a couple of pictures. One or two of them didn't work out great. This one I took, and it was like our campfire at night, and it's literally just black. So I've just like slipped it in here because like it's an additional bookmark, you know, if nothing else. Nothing to add to my summoning square. I've added a star here because we've gone through April. I need to update my index here. I might just do that quickly with you because I did do a couple of commonplace entries the other day. Okay, so that's things updated here. Let's have a flip through. So have a quick look at the calendar page. So just for anyone who's not been watching maybe some of my more recent videos, when I introduced the weeks into my system, I decided to use my calendar spreads as like a gratitude log. So each day coming in and just adding something in here. And I've got my mood log at the side here. I keep this top left corner free to put a quote in about the month. I haven't found that for this month yet, but we've still got plenty of time. The weekly spreads I use for like habit and health tracking, and I also have a media tracker at the side here. So this is how last week finished up. I came in on either Sunday or Monday just gone to add in these decorative pieces. In previous weeks, I kind of had them linked to health directly. So like we've got a glass of water, we've got a couple of faces here. But I just decided to go with what I thought looked nice. So I'd already laid down this gargoyle sticker from Georgia of Georgia Journals, and I had a couple of stickers left on that particular sheet. So to finish it off, I've added them in here. So we've finished that sheet now. So this sort of griffin fit really well here. We've got these dots here for the smaller spaces. And then these other stickers are from Stamped and Sealed Co. And I feel like they fit these faces quite nicely. And the colours, you know, go quite nicely with this washi that I've got. This is this week so far. So we've got this sort of nature-based theme, particularly I think off the back of me having been on a camping trip. And we've got a couple of things entered in here. Not written anything for today yet, but I'll probably do that in a little bit. I started playing Stray. I think it was on Thursday or Friday. So I'm like quite consistently playing a video game of some sort. Not listening to much music at the minute, but I am listening to some podcasts, so that's good. And then to look at the daily entries. This was the day that I filmed. So you can see there's quite a lot more sort of decoration and stuff going on here. So for the daily entry, I've just added this like iced coffee sticker here from Stamped and Sealed Co. because I had quite a bit of iced coffee on that day. We had a few hot days in the UK. It did cool down again over the weekend, but the hot days meant that I was reaching for iced coffee more than anything else. I've got a tip in here, which is the picture that came with a jigsaw that I finished. I started getting into jigsaws the last couple of months, and I like to do this when I've finished one. It's a little bit like how I have my media logs. So like when I finish a show, I will put a tip in for that show. I'm just trying to find my last jigsaw. I think it must have been a bit earlier in April. So yeah, I've done that with the jigsaws that I've done to date as well, which is nice. We've got the decoration here. So I did a chunk of this last week because I knew that I was going on that camping trip. The only thing that went in as an addition links more to the commonplace entry, so I'll come back to that. I've done most of this decoration in advance as well in last week's video because these were the days that I was camping. In terms of additions, so we've got an Instax picture in here. So I said a few minutes ago about how some of the images like didn't work out. This was one of them as well. This came out overexposed. So rather than putting it in my little photo album that I've got for the Instax pictures, I just decided to add it here because it's still a memory of the day and I can still like make out what it is and where it is. And I put a couple of extra stickers in as well. So we've got a torch sticker here from Morin Kunst because, you know, we were camping, needed to use torches a few times in the evening. And we've also got a progress sticker here that my friend gave to me. It was a friend I'd not seen in a long time and she's been going through a very difficult time. So I thought it was nice to kind of add that in kind of as a, I suppose as a little like nod to her, so to speak. On this side, got additional decoration here, but again, that links to the commonplace. And then I've got a sticker here that says V&A, This is from a card that I bought for a pen pal, and so I just wanted to make use of the sticker, really. It wasn't that well thought through because I'd written the entry and then I was like, oh yeah, I've got this sticker. So I just sort of plopped it at the bottom there. And we got yesterday's entry, kind of straightforward again, stamped and sealed co-flower. This one wasn't particularly related to anything I did that day, but I think it ties in nicely with the picture I've got here for a commonplace entry. So I just like the idea of things looking quite harmonious. So that was the main sort of justification, the main logic for that. So back to this page again in terms of the commonplace. So the first commonplace entry we've got that's new is this quote, which is from Why Go Camping. So this is actually, I think I might have mentioned it last week. This is actually a quote that was at the bottom of the Hobonichi weeks on the week commencing April 28th. So when I get Hobonichi books, generally I prefer to go to the Japanese version, but because I picked this up late in the year, I could only find for a sensible price the English versions, and I normally do what I can to ignore the quotes at the bottom. However, it was like a weird synchronicity thing that I was going camping this weekend and then the quote was about camping. So I gave it a read and I liked the quote, so I've copied it up in the commonplace section here. Sticker wise, we've got some photos, like a photo sticker design. That was a muddled way of saying that, which is from Moran Kunst. We've got this like national park, almost like a like American University sort of design. I don't really know how to call that here, and I kind of just felt like it tied in quite nicely with the idea of camping, and had a really awkward space of like a couple of lines here, so I've added some more washi in, and the washi's from Stacey McKeevy-Cornt. In terms of the decoration here, a chunk of this referred to the commonplace, the daily entry, but I decided to commonplace here about my thoughts and plans for the bird book, which I'll talk about in a little bit. So kind of to reflect that and to tie in with the day as well, I've added this owl sticker, which is from Marigona Suli. Obviously an owl is a bird, but also on this particular night, while we were out camping, I did hear some owls at night time as well, so kind of links quite well. The bird book, I won't open it up yet, but essentially with the bird book, I think I'm entering like a new special interest into ornithology. I've always been a big nature lover, and now and again there'll be something that really captures my interest. So for the last few years, I've really started getting into mycology. But I think with mycology, just because of where I live and stuff, it kind of feels a bit more like theoretical, and almost I also get a bit worried. So there's not that many like dangerous fungi in the UK, but there's always a bit of like trepidation and nervousness, whereas birds are like everywhere, even if they're just pigeons. And with the place that I have moved to, so we moved here, my partner and I, like, what was it, mid-January, and we've got a fair bit of wildlife quite close by, and we've also got like a nature reserve and things like that fairly close to us. So I've been having really nice like sensory experiences listening to the bird song, and seeing birds, and there's a fair few, you know, common ones that I was able to recognise, but I couldn't recognise them by their song. And I think it was on Instagram I found out about the Merlin ID app, which you press record, it records audio, and it's able to detect which birds are singing. So when I look at the app and it's picking up what bird is singing, that's also then me learning what that bird sounds like. So now when I'm out and about, if I hear something that I've heard before, I'm able to go, oh yeah, that's a blackbird, oh yeah, that's a robin. And it's really nice to do. And I'm considering getting some binoculars for bird watching. And because the app sort of saves your data of what birds you've heard and listened to, I just really was feeling drawn to wanting to like collect that information and data somewhere and wanting to research it more. Now in principle, those could be like commonplace entries, but because like the lists could so I feel like I'm getting into the bird book more than anything, but I just kind of felt like it was better for it to have its own place, particularly because I've got my key for my commonplace, and there's nothing, you know, it's quite a new interest for me, so there's nothing here that's reflective. I would have to log everything at the minute under other interests, which then means it's going to get muddled in with, for example, when I do look at mycology stuff again, or if I, for example, look at ancient Egypt, or I don't know, the Titanic, the Great Fire of London, you know, whatever it is that might capture my interest but might be a bit more like fleeting. Whereas there's something about this that feels a bit more like solid and like it might last a bit longer. So I dedicated it its own space. So coming back to the actual commonplace, this is kind of like just my sort of thoughts and reflections as to how I got here, and then planning out the layout of the book and why I've picked the book I have and that kind of thing. So this bit of decoration I'd done in advance wasn't that connected to the commonplace entry in the end, but it's fine. I've got these labels here from my Dynamo label maker. I had initially put these labels on the front cover of the book, but for some reason they just weren't taking. I had like piled a bunch of heavy stuff on top and they were still just popping up. So I figured rather than throw them away, I would just add them in here. And then we've got this bird carrying a scroll here that I've just added in. This is from the Sticky Club. I can't remember the original artist's name, but it was one of the sheets that was part of the Midnight Tarot set from Halloween last year. And then we're finishing up this log here. And then I've done a commonplace entry about this this art piece. So and it's weird, like just how everything is joining up and connecting with one another. So obviously this is a piece with lots of different birds in it, but it's also got lots of different plants in it, and it kind of feels like the Tree of Life and the Wheel of the Year. We've just had Beltane, and so I saw a card with this design on at my workplace, which is so the piece is at the V&A Museum at the minute. That's why I've got this V&A sticker here, because I wrote that card to my pen pal. And as I was writing to the pen pal and I was like, oh yeah, I found this card at work and I thought you'd like it, I started thinking about like wanting to learn about the author a bit more, wanting to learn more about the piece. So I decided to look at the Victoria and Albert Museum website, and I copied up the little biography they had for the artist and some information about the piece itself. It's originally a textile piece, so that's gone on for a few pages here, and I've added a little bit of decoration in here. So the excuse me. So the piece is by CFA Vasey or Voicey. I'll put it on the screen. That's always my go-to if I'm not too sure on my pronunciation. And he was part of the arts and crafts movement, which I particularly associate, and I think probably a lot of people associate, with William Morris. So it felt particularly apt to incorporate a bit of my William Morris washi. I could have used this roll here, but I didn't want it to be too bulky and kind of overtake what was going on the page. And then I've just added this sticker in, which is a stamped and sealed co-sticker. This particular paragraph talks about how the artist incorporates a lot of elements from the natural world into his pieces. He particularly likes birds, which you know, makes sense that that piece featured a lot of birds, but also a lot of plant life. And like I say, it was me writing a pen pal letter that kind of sprangboard. I'm really struggling with my words today. Launched me into, you know, doing this bit of commonplacing. So it was quite nice that we've got this sticker here that's got the plants and the leaves, and then it's like a letter that's being written as well. So yeah, that intertwining of the pen paling, the daily entry, the ornithology, and then the art just felt like really nice. It's just nice to have like all those different like thoughts and reflections like connect to one another. So that's just about caught up. I just need to add a couple of things to my post list because I've ordered a new cap. So I try and be kind of mindful of my spending and stuff like that. So I log on this page any post orders, you know, any online deliveries. I exclude from this anything like supermarket, food shops, and anything that's like for the household. So this is kind of like my unnecessary spends, I suppose might be the way to put it. So I bought a cap and a jumper from the Wildlife Trust, and I tend to put my like rough total as well. I think it's about that. And I just do this like red squiggly line between the months, so I get a rough idea of how many things I've ordered within a particular month. Like January, for example, quite comfy with that, like it wasn't too intense. And then the last couple of months I've maybe been a bit more loose with things, although some of this is like special interest related. I try and ease up on myself a little bit with that side of things. So yeah, that's the A5 for now. I thought I'd do like a chunk check because we're halfway through the year and we're already like this fat. So if I'm doing the same thing again in the last half of the year, it's probably going to get quite difficult to write in this book. But I am loving, like sometimes I'll just have a very broad flip through and it really does kind of feel like my brain on paper and really reflective of my interests and what I've been watching and engaging with. And yeah, I'm like really grateful for that space and the fact that I've just like let myself embrace it and enjoy it. And then lastly, the bird book. I've just checked and I think I'm throwing quite a shadow. I'm filming this first thing in the morning, so apologies if anything's maybe been a bit difficult to see. Hopefully it's okay. So decided to start this bird book like I mentioned. Now it does feel like, you know, it's potentially going to be quite a solid medium to long-term interest for me. However, I didn't want to go mad spending lots of money when I'm not 100% sure, you know, how long this is going to engage me for. So I decided to look at my existing notebook stash that I've got, and there were a few like sensible options or a few viable options, but I decided in the end just to go with this quite like cheap, pretty slim like exercise book that I picked up at Sainsbury's a few years ago. I think I just picked it up, I think it might have been part of the set actually, where there was this like rusty orange and then like a khaki green and then maybe like a mustard yellow or something. So yeah, like pretty straightforward, pretty easy. And so I decorated. So underneath this washi, there's, oh actually you can't see it anymore, but there's embossed the word thoughts. And I wanted to cover that up. So we've got the grid washi underneath. I think that's from Colour Cafe originally. I'd originally used my Dymo label maker to put the bird book, but it didn't take. So I used my ransom note sticker book to do the title instead. And I actually prefer this in the end. And then we've got a sticker here from Bronte, from her shop, Dear Whoever. What was quite nice about using the ransom note stickers in the end was I was able to pick stickers that had colours in that linked to the sticker. I do apologise for muddling my words up, but you get what I mean. So we've got blue here, we've got blue there, we've got this yellowy green, we've got the yellowy green in the breast of the bird here. So yeah. So the way that I'm working the bird book, oh yeah, I decided to put this piece in at the front as well. Yeah, you can tell I was enjoying it. So the way I'm working it is it's in the front, I am just putting the location and the month, and then a bullet point list of what it is that I hear / the Merlin app hears. I've got a page here that says in Rutland, because that's where I went camping. We were on a farm, and so there was really quite a diverse range of birds there, which was great fun. I think my next one's going to be commuting. So because I'm going to be showing this book like to you online, I don't want to dox myself, but I can just list here anything that I hear or the app picks up while I'm on my way to and from work, and then I will know roughly geographically where I was. So yeah, just a bullet point list to start with in this side. But then what I'm doing, and this is I think I picked this up from like back at school, is flipping the book, going to the back, and then we're going to have some more information back here. So I've stuck in another picture at the back here just for a little bit of decoration. I really love the like Japanese style illustrations of herons, particularly like woodblock paintings. So this is one that I found online, and then I've just added a mushroom sticker in here as a bit of an accent. So at the back, I am going to do a little bio for each of the birds that is listed in the front. So I've just done my first title here for the Eurasian blackbird, and I'll write the information out. I do like the idea of having a little picture as part of these entries, but I also want to be sensible with how much of the printer ink that I'm using up at home. So I'm in two minds about whether or not I'm going to bother with a picture. I think I might not include pictures, just because, like I say, because of the ink, but also 9 times out of 10 I do have access to a phone or the internet in another way. So if I want to check what something looks like, I can. And the Merlin app does include a picture as well. So I've got a few different reference points without necessarily needing to duplicate that in here. It's more the writing and learning more about the animal that interests me in this book. So I've not started doing these in-depth ones because I got back from camping, and then I think it was the next day that I decided to do my decoration and logging everything. But I've got the lists here to make a start with, and there's a few things that are duplicated. Like I think, trying to think, yeah. So for example, I heard a great tit at both. I'm not going to need to write that up twice. Yeah, magpies came up, wood pigeons, blackbirds. So yeah, that's the bird book. And I think what's quite nice, I didn't really think about this when I was picking the book out, but I feel like the rusty orange in there goes so nicely with this cover. So that's cool. And I think what's also going to be good is later in the year, when I move back to my black cover, this has got like 3 elastics in. So I'll have one for my hon itself. I can attach my little traveller's notebook wallet back in there like I had done at the beginning of this year. And feasibly I could add, bird book Mark 2 in the back here. This one's a bit too tall for it, but I have got notebooks in a variety of sizes that I could use. Something that I thought about potentially as something for next year in terms of like commonplacing or special interests is using inserts, thinking particularly about like traveller's notebook inserts, where if I know that something's very much like an established interest and I'll come back to it time and time again, or if I particularly want to be able to reference what's in a book, perhaps having some sort of traveller's notebook style arrangement, that might be helpful, particularly when it comes to the nature stuff. Like, what was really appealing when I was starting to think about the bird book was I thought a bit about field notes, and you know, if I go back to the sort of original connotations of what a field notebook is or what field notes are, you know, that gathering of like scientific information, the idea of putting my bird information in something like that, my mycology information in something like that, you know, pressing flowers, that kind of thing, that feels really appealing to me. But when I was in field notes before, just as a commonplace space, it didn't feel very like cost effective. You know, everything's really quite small. But then I think about like the traveler's notebook, particularly like the passport size. So it's not, you know, I'm not carrying something that's this tall around with me all the time. And then maybe having a cover where it gets a little bit beaten up sometimes, and maybe, you know, some mud gets in there and there's some creases or whatever. It feels kind of right that might happen to a book that is about birds, mycology, other plant life, you know. So that idea is kind of percolating in the back of my head. Like I say, I'm not going to rush into anything at all. I'm going to see how I get on with this book, and the interest as well. You know, it might be that it's something I have a few weeks or months really being enthusiastic about, and then it dies off. That happens to me now and again, not usually, but sometimes. So I'm going to be sensible about it for the time being. So yeah, a couple of people, when I shared the bird book on Instagram, a couple of people were like, "Oh, am I going to get to see any of this?" So hopefully that's given you a bit of more information about the bird book, if you are one of those people that did ask. So I think that's me for today. I got tongue-tied and things like that a few times. I may have been able to edit it out, but I'm not 100% sure how that's going to have gone. So if there's anything that you want me to like clarify, or any questions or anything, do just drop me a comment. I'm normally like quite quick to respond. So and it's nice getting chatting to people in the comments as well. So yeah, I'll speak to you again next week, hopefully. I've got a couple of busy weeks coming up, but I'm going to do my best to film like in between all that stuff. So yeah, I'll see you next time. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.